person was like, oh, like there's some problems with the code. And I'm like, oh, what are the problems? And he's like, I can't tell you, like you won't understand anyway. So what's the point?
Hi, I'm Hannah.
Hi, I'm Krish, and this is Pack Chats. Well, we're joined by Shrikha today. Shrikha studies computer science at the University of Sydney. She co-founded the Sprout app, which identified and addressed the common university pain point, which sees students struggling to make friends. The app became a finalist for the Sydney University Startup Awards. On top of this, Shrikha works as a product manager at a startup company, PlaceOS. Here, she uses AI tools to build an everything-in-one interface, prototyping hardware that will be implemented into offices and universities. Shrikha has a specific passion for vibe coding and app development. Despite her tremendous achievement in the tech arena, Shrikha had zero coding experience only 2 years ago. She attributes her success to the fact that she kept showing up. Shrikha, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
So, first question, what startup projects have you been involved in?
Yeah, so as Krish has mentioned, I've already worked on Sprout, which was my initial startup idea. We really came across this problem between students that they struggle with making friends, especially if you're international or you come in with no friends. You can be domestic and just not have your friends at uni. And then it's so intimidating to navigate this space because uni's so big and you're most likely not going to meet the people you meet today, tomorrow. I don't remember most of the people I met in my first year. And yeah, this seemed like a very big problem to me because I remember showing up to O Week and then feeling very intimidated by all the people around me. And I was like, you know what, we need to solve this problem. And my friend that I took advanced math with also agreed, and we set out to build a solution for it. With time, I've also kind of dipped my hands into other personal projects, but I also worked for Victoria Romeo, who is the UCID Incubate Pre-Accelerator Mentor, and she won the Genesis Award. So she was working on this idea called Carers Corner. So it's this platform for unpaid carers. Currently, I'm working at PlaceOS. So as you mentioned, we automate the building of infrastructure in organizations and in universities. So put it easily, it's like Google Home, but for organizations. So we automate desk booking, like room booking, parking, stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, well, on the side, I've just been like dabbling on ideas. I'm someone that like comes up with an idea and then prototypes it very quickly and then vibe codes it and then puts it out to the world and like, hey, would you guys use it?
So something I've been doing this year is vibe coding as well. So I kind of got into Base 44, Lovable. All those are kind of like no-code platforms, right?
Yeah.
And I've also had that similar tendency to be like, I have this idea that I think is incredible and it'll do well and all of that. And then I'm like, I can code, or I can quote unquote vibe code this on those platforms in like half an hour max, iterated over the course of like however many days or weeks. But then the problem with that is now that I've made about 3 or 4 that are like decent quality, I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
So kind of 2-part question. One is, how did you validate the idea of the Sprout app and even like your other vibe coded apps?
Yeah.
And then how did you kind of go from vibe coding it, or if you can talk a bit more about what vibe coding is, and like experience level needed, I guess, for that, and how you kind of got that either online or app store or like all of those kind of platforms.
Okay, so with the first question, with Sprout, we talked to around 25, 30 people, and then we had around 250 survey responses. But for the projects I did later on, there were very much ideas I'd like prototype, vibe code, and put it on LinkedIn and see what people had to say. Now that I'm working on something, again, like on a larger scale, like a personal project, it's coming back to what I did with Sprout. As a product manager, I now hold this lens, and I really think it's important for people to talk to their target demographic.
Yeah.
So if I'm, for example, building a tool for PMs, I will make sure to talk to at least 10 PMs because I might have many assumptions considering I'm outside the domain, or even if I'm in the domain, one person is not enough to build out something.
Yeah.
If it's personal, you're solving your own problem, very cool. But if you're building if you're building something large scale, it's very important that you talk to this target demographic, see what their problems are. Sometimes it might be a problem, but it might not just be a big enough problem. You know, they might face it, but maybe they don't really they would not spend money to solve this problem. They're like, oh, we can live with this. Like, yes, it's annoying, but it's not really like, it's not worth the money.
Yeah.
So that's something I really instill now. I talk to a lot of people before I build out a solution. I don't try to overcomplicate it. Like, I don't try to put in a lot of features, because your product should be one feature that does something very well. The more you expand it and put in a gazillion things, it's really hard to see what, I guess you can also take that approach, but it's hard to describe your idea. It's hard for it to click like right away. That's what I think. I mean, it's good to scale later on, but find that one problem and solve it very well.
Yeah.
Coming to the vibe coding aspect, I actually do a lot of vibe coding for my job at PlaceOS. So every day I usually get some project, like we're working with some universities in the US, and once we get a project like that, I talk to my customers, and then I create like very quick demos, and then give them deploy on Vercel or Netlify, and then give them the preview links. I think with vibe coding, it's interesting. You can make something very easily, but making it good is hard.
Yeah.
Like, you need to build that intuition for design and user experience by looking at a lot of real work put out by people. Take inspiration from actual web apps that exist. Don't just try to start from scratch, because it's probably going to be very templated and not really, it won't be very tasteful, and you want something tasteful. And coming to the user experience, I think I think you should build out whatever you build out, put it on either Netlify. If it's an app, I think there's something called Expo app that, like, you don't have to push.
React Native, you put it on your phone.
Yeah. So you put it on there, and then really start testing out the user flows. So what I like to do is, if I'm building something, I like to get a meta prompt of what I'm going to build. So if I'm like, hey, like, build me a app for university students that helps tackle the problem of loneliness, and I'd have something very definitive. I wouldn't just say that. I would be like, oh, I want to have a chat page with so-and-so features and functionality. And then I'd say, help me come up with a meta prompt that I can feed into, I love to use Cursor, so Cursor or Claude. And then I also like to do some testing. So I say, also come up with the guardrails and security features I need to keep in mind. And then I like to do testing. So, like, I make sure it's modular. My code is modular. So,
what does that mean?
So it means, so usually when people are coding with vibe coding tools, it can be that if you're building this app, you could have chat functionality in one page, but also have something else connected to a completely different page in this page. So, like, the code is like, if one thing breaks, it can cause everything else to break. So that's when it's very integrated. So when you make your code modular, you might make a change to the chat page, but that will not affect the other pages on your app. So other things won't break.
Okay.
So it's a lot of terms, but essentially it's making sure that your code doesn't break easily, and making a change in one thing doesn't affect other parts. Think of it like a system, because, like, I don't know, if you're thinking of, like, the domino effect, if you, like, push down a domino, it's going to make everything else fall. But if you make it modular, there's going to be dominoes isolated, so making one fall won't make everything else fall.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes. So that's kind of how I like to think about it. So coming to security, like, it's good to do some research, because, like, if you have no idea about like vibe coding or this domain, you might, like, make a database and then not really encrypt it and be able to see people's responses, and that causes a lot of security concerns. And even I feel this imposter syndrome where I, like, research, I'm like, hey, like, I want to encrypt it, put in this encryption, and then I'm like, AI is doing it.
Can you trust it?
Can I trust it? Like, is this good enough? Like, sometimes I feel this imposter syndrome. But some advice I've been given is if you're following something like Supabase, which is already established, or Postgres, which is also very established, you kind of have to do what they say on their documentation and trust it to do the job. Yeah. Because they already have frameworks in place, and they'll do it but you kind of have to have that blind faith that it's doing it. Like if you're having login and it's connected with Okta, trust that Okta is figuring it out for you.
Yeah. Well, just on that, how do you think that AI has changed that startup space?
Yeah.
And your personal experience?
I'm sure you guys can relate. You've talked about vibe coding. I think everyone's kind of thinking like a product manager, where people are all noticing these problems everywhere in the world, and they might not have coding experience, but they're like able to use these tools to build out something very quickly and validate very quickly. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, and something I've been hearing is that, it's really making it easier to ship faster and validate things faster. What would have taken a year to do is now happening in like a week. So like the speed of execution is really like, it's getting better. And I also think that AI is helping people, I think, like think more creatively. Like for me, it's unlocked. Okay, I think let me give you some context. So in high school and like in school, I've always been a very creative person. I used to make my own webtoons and things like that. And I always wished I could code, but I had no coding experience. And I think for people like that in school, it makes it so that you can build things without having to learn how to code. So if you love building, it makes it so much easier. It's also easier for you to come up with ideas because you have someone to talk to. So like I treat AI as if it's like my friend, and like I'm bouncing off ideas. I'm like, hey, like I have this idea. Do you think it's good? And it helps me expand what I know. Like your knowledge graph, once you keep talking to like ChatGPT or Claude, it really expands and you get to take in so much information you wouldn't have otherwise.
Hey, Krish.
Hey, Alex.
Did you know that WolfX is a one-stop shop for university students all over Australia? As a service, WolfX offers students an ecosystem to buy, sell, and trade with other students across 40 plus universities.
Whoa.
On top of this, you'll have the opportunity to communicate with other like-minded individuals with the shared interest in starting their own side business.
Whoa. WolfX is the perfect space for you to network, connect, and grow with your fellow students. Before the launch of our app, for the whole month of July, WolfX will be awarding $5,000 in the Wolfpack Awards. If you're a uni student with a side business or interested in starting a side business, simply enroll as a pro member at wolfxapp.com. That's a gold membership or a platinum membership, and submit a 90-second video pitch as well as a 10-slide pitch deck detailing your side business through the app.
And again, that's wolfxapp.com. Your idea could earn you $5,000.
Going back to an earlier point before, AI and a question around AI is the quality it puts out good, right? What are your kind of thoughts on that? Can you trust what it puts out? Do you still kind of like question it or all of those kind of things?
Yeah. I don't trust what AI puts out blindly. I'll be honest. Even at work, I think there has to be someone that looks at the input and judges its quality. Yeah. And for this, you don't need a lot of expertise.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. So do you need pre-existing kind of knowledge around technical systems or any of those?
I think it depends on what kind of, if it's a personal project, I don't think you need it. If it's something, if you're trying to build like a startup, I think till MVP stage, until if you're testing with a small number of people, I don't think you need it. But once you're scaling to a lot of people and once security concerns, privacy concerns, things like that come in, I think you need someone somewhat technical to figure it out. Because you might know that, hey, this is breaking, but I don't know how to fix that. And ChatGPT or Claude might not be the right help for this. But I think till MVP stage, you can put something together. So in the past, when I had no coding experience whatsoever, I was able to build stuff for 5-10 people. But once I had to scale it like a lot, it would usually break or wouldn't do as well. Yeah, I do think that you need to really analyze what it's giving. Like you might not have to sit and look at all of the code, but then you can ask it for a summary and ask it to explain exactly what's happening. If you want to get more details, ask you to explain everything in each of the files so that you understand what the code is doing. So you can say, okay, this isn't the timer I wanted. I'm going to fix that. And you can just prompt it. So you don't need to understand how to code, but you need to be able to analyze your code by getting like the, I guess, input and like output in English.
So what has your experience been like working in a largely male-dominated section?
Okay. I think I'll be honest with university. It's not been too different. Like a lot of the people in my classes, especially in my first year, were a good mix of both girls and boys, and it was fine. I didn't really see any problems. I think surprisingly, computer science has a lot of girls. Like I've talked to other engineering students, and they're like, "Oh, I barely see any girls in my class. I'm struggling so much." I think as it gets like in your second year, third year, you're less likely to see more like girls in your classes. But like in the overall startup like industry, I've worked with quite a few like girls. I think I've had situations where I felt like I was a bit put down. Like when I was working on my startup, I had this situation where at this time I didn't really know coding much, and then I was working with someone to help me out with the coding, and then this person was like, "Oh, like there's some problems with the code," and I'm like, "Oh, what are the problems?" And he's like, "I can't tell you, like you won't understand anyway, so what's the point?" So there's been some like snarky remarks here and there, but I don't think this is the overall experience
Of
like being in tech. Like this was like one incident that like I think
stuck with you.
Yes, I think it left a mark, and that's why I've made it quite important to myself that since I'm in tech, I'm going to make sure that I understand tech and learn tech. And I've heard this is a problem for a lot of product managers. They come in with a lot of business experience, but not much tech. And once you become a tech PM, you have a hard time communicating with engineers, and they don't trust you as much because you don't have the technical skills. And they're like, I think often they don't really trust your judgment when you don't bring in that technical skill. So I think it was a good learning experience for me.
Yeah.
Maybe this doesn't have much to do with gender. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think that bogged me down quite a bit. And I think I've heard a few people, and some girls I've talked to have had similar situations.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think coming from India, a lot of people like, if you're doing computer science, you're exposed to like programming early on. So a lot of the experience I've heard are from people that like grew up here that just took computer science because they were passionate about computers.
Yeah.
But in the startup space, I've not really had any problems. Like it's such a wholesome like space to be in.
That's good.
I have a bunch of friends. I think most of my friends are girly pops and like guys I've met in the startup space. They're very ambitious, and I don't think people in the space really get bogged down by anything others have to say.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's really good. So just going off that, because you talked about how startups and how that's one of your big passions. Where did this all come from? Like, do you have a bit of an origin story about that?
Yeah. It's so interesting. So I have my best friend. Well, she's also my housemate, and time and time again, we look at like startup competitions and we're like, oh, it would be cool to take part in this. And that's where we come up with an idea. Like we're like, it's funny. It's very contradictory. It's not how people work. It's very unintuitive. So in my first year, I remember, okay, for context, in my first semester, I was really chilling. Like I had no interest in startups. I was like going to the mall every day, and then second semester hit and I don't know what changed. So we came across this like Google developers like startup pitch competition, and we're like, oh my God, like this is our sign. We have to take part. And that's kind of where Sprout came from. And then we did not like get into this competition, but we're like, you know what? We're going to pursue it anyway.
Yeah.
We're going to join the pre-accelerator, and we joined the pre-accelerator. I think for me, a big push for me in my life was my boyfriend, who also was very into startups, and he actually applied for pre-accelerator when I heard of the pre-accelerator, and that kind of pushed me into the space. So I was like, oh my God, you're doing something very cool, and I think this would be interesting to me too. And that's what pushed me into the space. I did not hear of the startup space until he was kind of interested in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So you kind of went through UCID's Genesis program?
No, I didn't.
Incubate?
I did the pre-accelerator.
Pre-accelerator program.
Yeah.
For people who don't know about that, and I don't really know much about
Yeah.
how kind of those programs work at
Yeah.
universities, outside universities, you mentioned Google.
Yeah.
Is it hard to get into them? What's the process of going about those?
I can give you a gist on both the pre-accelerator and I'm happy to give you a gist on Genesis because Victoria, who I worked with, also took part in Genesis. So I kind of, yeah. Coming to the pre-accelerator, I think what they really look for is you having a problem that you're very passionate about and being able to show that that the work you're going to put out is going to, it may not solve this problem, but it just needs to show that you're passionate about it. So I remember we had to send them this pitch deck, and I don't think it was the best put together pitch deck, but it really showed our effort. We really cared about it. It was a 20 slide pitch deck. We showed that this problem really affected us and we wanted to be the people to solve it.
Yeah.
So I think if you're applying to programs like this, it just matters so much that you're passionate about the problem, you want to solve it, you'll show up.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they care about when it comes to pre-accelerator. I don't think they care as much about how good your solution is, because the whole point of pre-accelerator is you figure out, hey, maybe this was not the right solution, and you pivot. It's so that you can really understand what your customers want and then build the right solution for them. They don't care as much about the quality of your solution when you're joining. From what I understand, I don't know if they're doing the accelerator anymore, but before the accelerator was supposed to be where you already have some traction and you're making sure your startup, I guess, is more appealing to investors, and also I think they also help you scale, because you might have a product that has a bunch of traction but hasn't scaled to a bunch of users yet.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna talk too much on that because I've not been a part of it.
Yeah.
Coming to Genesis, it's this competition where they're trying to, I guess, figure out how much the most amount of progress made by a team. So at the end of the day, the judging is going to be done by mentors who have been supporting you from the start to the finish. And the quality of your pitch matters a lot, your pitch deck matters a lot, but also the progress you've made from the starting point to the ending point matters a lot. So I think they only select 5 out of 10 or 11 teams at the end that get to compete for the prize. It's quite competitive. It's a very cool experience. You can't really join it unless you have a lot of traction. So unless you have money coming in, a bunch of users, or a bunch of views on social media, things like that. And yeah, you need to really be on top of your game, because every week they like to do updates where you're hey, how much progress did you make? And they're oh, we made so and so amount of progress. And I think that's how Genesis works.
Okay. You mentioned.
Oh, right. Sorry. Coming to how easy it is to get into Genesis, I forgot to touch up on that. I don't think it's inherently easy. I think, again, you need to build that startup from ground up and have some traction to show. So it's not like pre-accelerator where they don't really care as much about traction. So yeah, I do think if someone wants to start now, they might have to take a semester before they can join Genesis or fully grinding. Yeah.
Okay.
That was going to kind of go into my question anyway,
Yeah.
that kind of topic of what kept you showing up. And you can have passion. So you mentioned passion is kind of really big. And that's what they're looking for. You might not necessarily have your entire business worked out. You don't have investors or whatever, but it's the passion that
Yeah, as long as that's
keeps
a driving factor.
Yeah, it keeps
Yeah.
you keeps you driving. So what kept you showing up?
Yeah. I love that question. I think there have been times where I don't feel like I fully showed up, but I think I'm a very passionate person. So if I love an idea, I'm going to show up to it. But then if I feel like it's not doing, if I don't think it's solving the problem, that's when I drop and move on. So I'm not someone that clings on to an idea and I'm I think it's a good idea, I should move on. If I don't see enough validation, I'm going to skip the idea and move on to something new. I think for me, it's just, I have a lot of conviction in
your abilities and yourself?
I think I just love building. So I have a lot of conviction in that. I enjoy the craft. Okay. I just love to build.
Yeah.
So even if I don't think the startup idea is right, I don't give up or like give up on startups because I'm very passionate about it. I'll probably jump onto something new. I just love the initial stages of building something, prototyping. I love being a builder, so my job is also a lot of building. So I think there's a lot of internal motivation for me. Like I've also seen the people around me. I love surrounding myself with very ambitious people. So that's been a very big motivator for me. I'm a firm believer that the people you spend the most time with influence who you are. And I spend a lot of time around my boyfriend, who's like always on the go working on startups, because he just did the Genesis program and he's working on his own startup. So I'm like always like watching him work, and I take that to myself as well. Also, my friends, they're all in the startup space. So I'm like, once you're surrounded by people like this, you might not have an idea, but at some point you're going to have an idea, or you're going to do something that makes you successful. That's what I think. So it's very important you surround yourself with people that push you to become better.
New connections, new opportunities.
Yeah.
That's why the startup space is so cool, because you just meet new people who also have that passion and that kind of like energy.
Yeah.
Echoes within that,
Yeah.
kind of like that group.
Yeah, I agree. Because like there have been times when I'd go to like these startup events, and then there'd be a speaker that really stood out to me because of the way they talk and the way they influence people, and that motivates me so much. I'll go home that day and be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is my vision board. Or I'd like take some notes and be like, okay, I have to implement this. But yeah, even if you don't have those friends yet, I think honestly, like, maybe pick up a book or watch a podcast. Like you have so many resources out there. You don't actually need a person to be that source. You can like lean on to creators online. You can lean on books. They'll provide you with the same motivation and knowledge.
On a different note, so we've just talked about the whole passion behind it. What have you find has been something that you've kind of struggled with in contrast to that?
Yeah. I think showing up is great, but I've had times where it was hard to show up. Like when you don't see as much traction, it's so easy to want to give up. And it can demotivate you.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to build up that internal courage or like muster up that intrinsic motivation to keep going. And I think that's been a problem for me too. For me, I think it helped that I had a co-founder when I'd work on projects. So I'd be demotivated. She'd motivate me. Opposite happens, I'd motivate her. So you'd always have someone to like piggyback off of. And I think it's always important to have someone that, if you're someone like me, to have someone else that you can rely on. Ideally, someone that's like, that has a different view from you. Like I think someone like if you're looking for a co-founder, ideally someone that doesn't have the same skill set as you, that thinks very differently from you, so that you can always lean on them. I also think I've always been very like, I'd always jump a lot from idea to idea. I was talking to Luke as well. Like I'm always like constantly like ideating, building stuff. So like I think I'm very spontaneous too. So it's hard for me to stick to something. Yeah, so
that's been my experience. I've made like so many things, but it's because this idea comes up, this idea comes up, this idea comes up. It's like I just want to make something, and I want to kind of see it come
do everything
to life.
all at once.
Do everything all at once. But then that kind of, have you found, at least in your experience, that putting yourself in so many different baskets, I guess almost, that kind of overall makes it harder to focus on one and actually see it through?
Yeah. I think it's interesting that I decided to become a product manager, because like the one thing I found with this role is that you can work on different projects, right? So like it gives you the variety that I wanted. With the startup, you're like if you're a founder, you're focused on one thing, but if you're a product manager, you have so many like projects and they keep changing. So if someone's in the same boat as me, I highly recommend they look into being a product manager. I think it's very important that you have your focus on one thing. And it's been a problem with me that I always spread myself thin. Because only when you, again, like back to that startup thing, where if you build so many, like a lot of features, it's hard to perfect it. And the same thing goes with like being a person. Like if you're focusing on too many things, you probably won't do them too well. So it's so important to have your attention on something and do it well. With my boyfriend, he's like that. Like if he has an idea, he's going to work on it for like 3-4 months and then make sure he does it right. So it's something I think most people should like inculcate in themselves to like pick an idea and run with it, or like pick some, like really reflect on what you want to achieve. Maybe take a week, I'm not sure, like 2 weeks, that's okay. But then once you're done with that period, go like double down on it. If you want to get better at coding, practice lead code, just focus on that.
You just got to really apply yourself to
because once you do, you're going to feel like you're not going to feel overwhelmed, and I think you're going to feel like you're growing, because when you're doing too much at once, like sometimes I don't feel like I'm doing
any
much. It feels like I'm not growing that much. It feels like I'm trying a bunch of things and not doing them as well, and then I feel guilty, and it's this whole cycle of not doing anything too well.
You've talked about all your startups and your passion projects. Do you have anything in the works at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm always like doing a bunch of things. I was previously working on this like platform that helps like impulsive shoppers like stop their addiction. So like I'm an impulsive shopper. Like I'm always impulse spending. Like it's a very big problem. I wanted to build a solution that stops you, like physically stops you from impulse spending. And it's currently on the back burner, but I'm looking to build a tool for PMs, because I'm very passionate about being a PM, and I want to build something that changes the lives of PMs. So that's something I'm just starting on. It's not really anything too big right now. But also in terms of work, I'm planning on joining a new startup. Well, it's not been finalized yet. I'm still in the talks, but I'm going to be joining them as a product manager.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
So a lot of exciting things.
Yeah. What initially drew you to just project management? Like, how did you kind of fall into that?
Yeah. So I'm interested in product management, which is very close to project management. So
oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. But like, it's easy to
it's
get
one of those days.
No. It's very common to think I got confused initially too. So let me break down what both of them do. So project managers usually look over the entire project, make sure it like I guess they make sure you reach your, like, they help you define your scope, make sure you're reaching goals. They look at milestones. They help you, like, figure out how much time it's going to take, cost, and, like, things like that. Product manager is more so looking at what your startup has already built and seeing if, talking to users, figuring out what the users' problems are, and seeing if the solution you built is right for the for the user. So that can involve like taking away some features, including features, looking into cost, if it's feasible to build something, stuff like that. So what drew me to product management was
You're like, how did you just kind of, how did you find it? Like, how did you fall into it?
So it was when I attended the pre-accelerator program, I met someone who one of the mentors who was a product manager, and I remember having this session with him, and his work seemed very cool, and I was like, hey, like, can we have a call? Like, I think I want to be a product manager. Can you tell me a bit more about what you're doing? And so he kind of went into what he does, and he's like, I'm very obsessed with the customer, what they want. I'm very problem obsessed. Like, most of my job is just talking to customers, figuring out what their problems are. I never ask what the customer wants me to build, because what they want me to build is usually not what the right solution is.
No.
Yeah. So like, they might give you a lot of inputs, but you need to be very like careful with what you actually listen to. Like, listen to their problems, you should come up with a solution, and then you have to do a lot of testing iteratively. And like, that all seemed very cool to me. It's interesting because there's no like course for product management, so a lot of uni students don't know what it is, and like, they're like, oh, like, I've never heard of this. I'm like,
I had no idea what
product
manager was.
So it was very like random that I like stumbled upon it. I think product management is very good for people that love building things, but they don't really enjoy coding, and they love talking to customers. So it's very much me, because I love talking. I'm a yapper, but I also love building. It's kind of like that, like the midway, like
the middle ground.
Yeah, the middle ground for engineers and I guess like marketing people, or designers or business people. And yeah, it's cool that you get to do a lot in a job.
Yeah, it's a whole niche thing, just like merged into
one. Yeah, it's great. It's very fun.
You're in the middle of everything, kind of like talking to everyone. You don't like you said, you don't need that technical experience. You don't need to know entirely about strategy or whatever. You're kind of just pulling all the pieces together.
Yeah.
Do you think AI would replace that in the next few decades potentially?
Okay. So
do you think, sorry, to add to that, do you think there's a human element and kind of like that intuitiveness that comes with just being human and understanding problems that AI can or cannot replicate?
Yeah, so how I like to look at it is with coding, I don't think you can truly replace a software engineer. Like I think with coding, with like ChatGPT spitting out code, yes, it can make code, but it's never like there's usually software engineers looking over the code, making sure it's like aligned with the code base, and maybe at some point it'll get better, but I still think there's some human element to it. Hot take, maybe like software engineers might someday get replaced, I'm not sure, but I don't think product managers will get replaced. Maybe I think the job might alter a bit, same way with software engineers. I think like AI is never truly going to understand a person.
No.
Like I think it can yes, it can understand what people have put on the internet, but there's so many problems that people won't talk on the internet.
There's that relatability, that human element to it.
Like you'll type something, but you might not fully be honest about the problems you're facing. And I think it's especially harder when it comes to hardware. Maybe it can come up with software solutions, but with hardware, I don't think it'll have I don't think it'll get to a point where it's good enough that it can piece together like what people's problems are and a solution for it. Regardless, I think there's going to be AI can spit out ideas. I think with being a product manager, you also need to evaluate how feasible it is and how strategic it is, and like whether it's good enough for where you are as a company. And I think there's a lot of elements to it. Like, yes, talking to customers is one aspect, but there's this whole other like spectrum of things you need to do. So I think it'll be good at like maybe giving you ideas, but it may not be able to judge whether the idea is good enough for your company, or whether it's the right move, or whether it's the implementations it has given is the best implementation for your company. So I don't think they're going to get replaced. Your job's going to get altered, because now you're just like sitting there staring at the AI agents doing a bunch of work, and like you're telling it, no, you're doing it wrong. That's basically my work. Like I'm just like, sometimes I'm just sitting there getting it to prototype, and I'm like staring at the screen, and I'm like, oh my God, please work. It's taking so long to like work and spit out code. Yeah.
Creativity, human creativity is kind of unmatched.
For sure. I agree.
Absolutely. Kind of for a tangent, what have been some failures that you've gone through, and how has that kind of impacted, like you said, your quote of just keep showing up and just keep moving? How have failures kind of helped build that kind of internal courage to just keep showing up?
Yeah, it's quite embarrassing. I actually like failed my intro to programming unit, and it was like the biggest like knockdown I had in my life. Like I never failed a unit. I used to do so well in school, and then I never did programming, so it was like I still like get teased for it. It's like very like funny, because like this programming unit, I blame the programming unit. It's like they had this like weird system.
Set up weird.
Yeah, it was set up weird. It was all its fault. Okay, no, it was also partially my fault. Like I think I should have like showed up more. So I had to like repeat this programming unit the next semester again, and it's funny because like now looking back, it really wasn't that bad. It only gets harder, right? Like your units, like your programming units only get harder. Like this was Python in first semester, and now I did C, and like it's a whirlwind of emotions. I think it was very embarrassing. It's so easy to get embarrassed when you make a mistake or when you fail. But then it's so important to remember that like 2 years down the line, you're probably not going to remember this. This is just going to be funny in hindsight. Like, did I really cry over this? Did it really have so much power? Like, the job I'm doing now really doesn't even care about this unit. Like, it exists in isolation. It happened. If anything, I've been going around yapping, saying, oh my God, this is such a cool story. Hero arc. I basically, went from the trenches to the ups of life. And, it's a cool story to tell. Yes, I was doing awful in my programming unit, but now I'm such a different person. And that kind of added to who I am today.
Yeah, well, you would have learned so much from that too, about, what to do differently next time. And how to tweak a few things and how to apply yourself in a different aspect. I think failure is
growth.
It's growth.
Yeah.
And it's so much more common than I think a lot of people realize. Like, no one ever really likes talking about it because people find it so embarrassing. But at the end of the day, everyone actually learns so much about themselves or about what they can do differently next time to improve.
Yeah, I love how you said that. Failure is growth. I agree. I think people view failure as such like this evil thing that's like pulling them down or negative energy.
It's so taboo. It's like, no, like, oh, like,
it's not.
No, you failed. Like,
yeah,
oh.
I think it's very important to say it's okay. Like, you're going to get over it tomorrow. You're going to learn so much. I made friends repeating this unit.
Exactly.
It was
Things
great.
happen for a reason.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason.
And it doesn't define you. Like, if anything, I think for me, it helped me realize that, like, it's okay to do bad once. You just need to work harder. That it's always the solution. You fail once, you just have to work harder.
Yeah. So, just the final question to wrap this up. It's a big one.
Okay.
In 10 words or less, what is your dream?
Oh God.
Yeah, it's a hard question.
It is a hard question.
I took like 10 light years to answer this one.
It
took ages. Do you remember?
Yeah, and
I was sitting there like,
ages ago.
How do I answer this?
What was your answer? I'm curious.
I have no idea.
I don't think I even remember my answer to this.
But I knew it at the time.
Ago.
You knew it at the time.
I did.
Oh wow.
Doesn't have to be a sentence.
No.
Okay. I think I want to change the lives of people around me. Yeah. I mean, it can go into it, but I think that is my sentence.
Ultimate, yeah.
That's your driving force.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I think so. Like, which is why I think startup space is amazing for this. Like, you can build products, you can build things, and being a PM also, like, you're solving people's problems. The impact of that is phenomenal. It's like humongous. And the company I'm planning to join, they're also very like driven by impact. And I think spaces like that really motivate me. Work that impacts the lives of a lot of people also motivates me. It feels like if I'm not really changing the lives of other people, like, why am I doing this? Or even my life. Like, I don't want to work. I mean, I can be detached and work on something that doesn't really impact my life or the people around me. But I think my ideal day, I'm working somewhere or working for myself and I'm changing lives of other people and then coming home and feeling very satisfied and content with where I am.
I think we all resonate very deeply with that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been lovely to have you and to talk to you. And I think everyone's learned so much more about the tech space and startups and even just product managers. I'm going to get there.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. It was great. I loved this Yap sesh. And yeah, like, I'm excited for what Pack Chats has next.